came across this week. I thought it was kind of appropriate to the world today. And since he says helping one person might not change the whole world, but it might change the world for one person. Shall we? Open our hearts, O God, in these moments, through Christ our Lord. Amen. As I looked at the two scriptures for today, I began to realize that they have one thing in common. These are two stories about God's grace and a negative reaction towards it. In both stories, grace is misunderstood, and that misunderstanding produces anger. What about God's grace? If we are honest, we have all struggled the way Jonah and these workers that were hired first struggled. You know the story of Jonah. God called Jonah to do a task. And Jonah says, okay, Lord, but he gets in a boat and he goes in the opposite direction. You know, rather than going to Linwood, he heads for Kent. And as a result, there becomes a storm, and Jonah tells them, throw me overboard, and they throw him overboard, and he's swallowed by a great fish, and after a few days, he's spit out on the shores of Nineveh, and decides that, well, God, if you're going to get me here, I might as well do my job. But if you want to talk about somebody that has no enthusiasm in what they're doing, you know, it says it takes 2 days to walk through Nineveh. So for 2 days, Jonah walks through the city saying, hey, God's going to destroy the city. Goodbye. Have fun. Don't repent. Well, yeah, maybe repent, but it's not going to do any good because God's going to destroy the city. Basically, Jonah's message. But God changes his mind because the people repent. It says God changed his mind. That's what it says in the text. If you read all of Jonah. The king and the people repent. But the time is up. And what's Jonah doing? He's sitting up on the hillside waiting for the city to be destroyed. That's what Jonah is doing. God, did you know the world was supposed to end yesterday? Honest. There was a prediction out that yesterday would be the last day that the world existed. Well, somebody goofed again. They might have been setting up on their mountainside, but it didn't happen. And as Jonah's waiting, this tree comes up and gives Jonah a little shade, and then the tree goes down. And then Jonah says to God, hey, look, why did you send me here if you were going to save them anyway? You just wasted all of my time and all my energy. That's how Jonah felt. He was not happy about God's grace to this heathen city of 120,000 people. It's harvest. The vineyard is ready for harvest. Jesus says the landowner goes out very early in the morning and begins to get the workers. You know, he knows where the local Home Depot is. The day laborer is waiting for jobs. And he meets with the workers and says, hey, I've got, my vineyard needs to be harvested. I'll pay you a day's wages if you'll come. And they agree. And so they go out and they start work. But maybe it's a better harvest than he expected because he comes back and sees more workers and he says, come on, let's go. I'll take care of you at the end of the day. No amount is negotiated. If you've read the story, no amount is negotiated in the next few people, the next few times he comes out. But then he's there at 5 o'clock in the evening. And there are still men standing there waiting for work. Now, you know what? I applaud those ones that are still about noontime you figure you're not going to get hired? Maybe 3 o'clock, and might as well go home because nobody's going to hire me. The day is almost done. But there they are standing there, and the landowner says, how come you're still here? And they said, because nobody's hired. Well, he says, come on. There's still a few more hours of sunlight left in the day. Let's go out, and I'll take care of you at the end of the day. They do it. Then, of course, they were paid at the end of the day. You didn't have to wait 2 weeks for your paycheck. And those that were hired at 5 o'clock get a full day's pay. Those that came at 3 o'clock get a full day's pay. Those that came at noon get a full day's pay. Now, if you were hired at 6 o'clock in the morning or at 8 o'clock in the morning and you worked all day, wouldn't you expect that, hey, I'm going to get more than they did. I worked longer and harder. I went to the deacons meetings. I went to the trustees meetings. I taught Sunday school. I taught VBS. I put up the chairs. I took down the chairs. I did all of this, and you're giving them the same thing I'm giving. They weren't happy. But they agreed to work for a day's wage. When they came on board, they had signed, the contract. I'll work for you a day. But they don't like it. They don't like God's grace. They don't like the grace given by whom. And if we're honest, we all feel that way from time to time. If we're honest. Because I thought about 2 things that we struggle with grace. The first one is that a lot of people don't feel they deserve it. Pastor Lee, how many times I'm not worthy. God shouldn't love me. My life is too bad. We can't accept God's love in our own lives. Now, of course, the real truth is we're not worthy. That's why it's grace. But God loves us, and He gave. Our debt is greater than we could possibly ever repay. But God says, I'm. Christ says, I'll pay your debt for you. We still struggle with how can we be forgiven? You remember the rich young ruler in Mark chapter 10, around verse 17? He comes to Jesus and says, what can I do to inherit eternal life? I've been a good boy. I've kept the letter of the law. I deserve it. But is there anything else I can do just to make sure I'm going to get it? And Jesus tells him to do the one thing he will refuse to do. He's a rich man. Sell all you have and give it to him. Become poor yourself. And Mark tells us that the man went away sad because he was rich. He couldn't accept grace. He thought he deserved grace. But we have all sinned. We can't earn eternal life. It is a gift. And the second aspect is we find it hard to believe that God is going to forgive him for his sins. We maybe can accept it for us. Nineveh was a heathen city. Nineveh was a city that stood outside any possibility of God's love in the minds of Israel and Jonah. But God says, yeah, but I love them. They're mine. Came across an interesting poster this week. I wish I'd printed it out because I can't find it now. But it had the title of it was God and Man's View of Sin. And the first one showed man's view of sin. And it was a bar graph. You remember, those of you from high school, remember the bar graph? I don't know if they still do bar graphs or not, but, and this showed a bar graph, and there were underneath on the bottom were a lot of sins, and some went up this wide, and some went up this high, and some were down this low, and up and down like that. The next one showed God's view of sin, and it was a straight line. There were no up and downs. We make some sins worse than others. But God doesn't make any difference. God's view is that of a straight line. Sin is sin. Doesn't matter. But yet we want to compare sins. Well, my sin certainly isn't as bad as yours. Jonah didn't want God's compassion on him. Those first hired workers didn't want those who came in late in the day paid the same thing that they were paid. They worked longer, they worked harder. How can you do this? How can you love him? How can you love her? I have a friend, pastor, colleague. He was pastor of my home church in Maine for a number of years. It's located right next to the jail. So, And he started interacting with the jail and some of the prisoners. And he became real good with one of the inmates. And over the months that they visited together, he led this man to Christ. And the man wanted to be baptized, and so he made the arrangements for the man to be able to come over to the church during the week when there was nobody else there. And he and a few deacons would be there, and the prison officials would allow him to be baptized and then take him back to his cell. But then he says, I found out what his sin was. I found out why he was in jail. And I didn't want to baptize him. He said, I had to struggle with myself because I did not think that he was unworthy for me to baptize. He was worthy of me to baptize. He says, and all of a sudden I had to ask myself, am I not willing to forgive someone that God has told me he forgives? He came and put his hands in the hands of Christ. And intellectually, I say yes. In my heart, he said, I kept saying, you know the sin he did, God? Do you know how bad and atrocious that sin was? And he said, God says, yes. But he's mine. You see, that's God's grace. God's grace is hard. It's hard for us to accept sometimes in ourselves, and then even harder for us to accept in others. But we all stand in need of God's grace. Isn't it amazing that God still loves us? That God still cares for us? How many of us would have given up on us a long time ago? God so loved the world. And he demonstrated that love in Christ, and he calls us to be his Christs. We're not working for our place in heaven. It's already been secured by Christ. We work, we give of ourselves, we practice with praise teams and other things, and serve on boards and committees because we are thankful for what God has already done. We share the good news because we're thankful for the good news of what God has done in us. Because God's grace, the gift that we can give to anybody who would come, is God's amazing grace. Sure. At some point, oh God, we all stand in need of your grace. There may be someone here this morning that has never found your say, okay, I love you anyway. My arms are open. As I love the heathen city of Nineveh, so love I you. As I give to those who come last, the same as I give to those who toil with me. My love is far greater than the world can ever understand. And thank you, O God, that we are here today, bound together as one, because of your amazing grace. Amen.
Amen.
And number 343, Amazing Grace. How sweet.